David and the Great Detective. It's the first day of summer. The 21st of June, like so many days of the year in England, is often cloudy, or wet, or windy, or not too bad. But today is a lovely summer's day. The sun is shining. The fields are bright green and yellow in the morning light. And birds are singing in the trees. In the distance, on both sides of the river, the red and grey town of Westbourne is getting ready for a new day. It's a perfect day for staying at home, for going swimming, playing football, or listening to music in the shade of a tree. Unfortunately, today isn't a holiday. It's Monday. And it's 7:30. Lorries and cars are rushing around the ring road that circles the town. On one side of the ring road are fields, car parks, some new houses, and a few old farms. On the other side are housing estates, business parks, a few apartment blocks from the 1960s, and lots of old terraced houses. Some cars are driving into the center. Some are going to the business parks with their new offices, new roads, and tidy bushes. Other cars are heading out to the motorway and the long drive to London. It's early, but in the parks some people are taking their dogs for a walk. Or rather, the dogs are taking their owners for a walk. The dogs look happy and full of energy. Their owners look very tired. Other people are jogging and listening to their MP3s, doing some exercise before the working day begins. Buses are taking some early workers into the town center. Street cleaners are picking up the litter from last night's takeaways. And in the town center, the clock on the tower of the old town hall shows 5 to 8. In the suburbs, a milk float is moving quietly up a road with its electric purr. Its glass milk bottles are rattling in the back. A car is driving quickly down a road. The rap music on the car stereo is very loud. A cat runs quickly out of the way. Paper boys and girls are delivering newspapers. Men and women are leaving for work, getting into cars or walking to bus stops. A girl is skating along a pavement. She is holding a lead, and on the end of the lead her dog is running and barking. Some people are getting ready in the bathroom or they are waiting to use the bathroom. Sometimes their 15-year-old sister gets to the bathroom first and they have to wait for hours. Some people are having breakfast. Give it to me. No, you give it to me. Stop fighting and eat your breakfast. Some people aren't listening to their parents. They are sending text messages to their friends. Now don't forget you have a piano lesson at 4 o'clock. And after that there's your ballet class. Some people are surfing the net or playing video games before they leave for school. And in a second-floor flat near the park, a boy is lying in bed. He has long fair hair and a thin pale face. His eyes are closed. He's dreaming. It's a cold, dark night in New York. The snow is falling on the tall buildings and the streets. The streets are empty and white. Then a shape moves in the darkness, and a man steps into the street. The yellow light from a street lamp shows his face. It's David Delgado, the Great Detective. David Delgado is tall and thin with fair hair. He is wearing a black jumper, a long dark coat, and black leather boots. He looks up and down the street, then holds his hand up to the light. His watch says 1:30. He has an appointment with Harry, but Harry's late. Where is he? Then David hears a sound. It's a car. A white limo comes round the corner and stops about 30 meters away. The door opens. And a huge man gets out. This isn't Harry. It's Mickey Malone, the king of crime. Mickey looks at David, then takes something from his pocket. What is it? David. David Delgado is confused. Who is calling his name? David. It's late. It's a woman's voice. It's a voice he knows. David opens his eyes. His mother is standing at the door of his bedroom. Do you know what time it is? She asks. Says David. It's 8 o'clock. You're late for school. Now hurry up. His mother goes back to the kitchen. David doesn't want to leave David Delgado in a dangerous situation, but he has no choice. So he gets up. There are books and comics all around his room. David loves reading, but he loves writing, too. He writes stories about a lot of different characters. And his favorite character is David Delgado, the Great Detective. David lives alone with his mother. He hasn't got a father. He hasn't got any brothers or sisters. And he hasn't got a pet. He likes cats, but his mother says he can't have one. She says they can have a cat because they haven't got a garden. David thinks his mother simply doesn't want a cat. A boy in his class lives in a flat and he has a cat. And David knows that pirates have cats, and they haven't got gardens. But in a way he doesn't mind. He doesn't feel lonely. His head is full of explorers, gangsters, astronauts, cowboys, Native Americans and secret agents. Eat your breakfast quickly, love, says his mom. She is making his lunch. She works at the hospital, and she is wearing her nurse's uniform. She starts work in half an hour, and she is in a hurry. Okay, David replies, starting to eat his cereal. His mother looks quite serious. He knows she worries about him a lot. Sorry I'm late, Mom. That's all right, she says, and smiles. Now don't forget your sandwiches, she says. Don't worry. But 10 minutes later, when David runs out of the front door to catch the bus, his lunch is still on the table. And then, David misses the bus. He waits another 15 minutes for the next one. When it arrives he gets on, and goes up the stairs to sit on the top floor. He sees that he is the only person on the bus wearing a blue sweatshirt and gray trousers, the uniform of Westbourne High School. He's very late. David likes looking out of the window at the cars, the people, the shops, and houses. He soon sees two boys. They aren't wearing school uniforms. A boy with red hair is riding a bicycle, the other one is running beside him. They are laughing. That's odd, thinks David. They aren't going towards a school. Maybe they have a day off. Lucky them. But David soon forgets them. The snow is falling on the streets and buildings of New York. It is falling on a long white limo. It is falling on David Delgado, the great detective. It is falling on Mickey Malone, the king of crime. And it is falling on the object Mickey is holding in his hand. He moves it into the light of the street lamp. It's a gun. David Delgado doesn't change his expression. Where's Harry? Asks the great detective. Harry's fine, says Mickey. He's in the back of the limo. Can I see him? Not now, says Mickey. He doesn't feel very well. And then Mickey points the gun at David Delgado. David doesn't know what happens next to the great detective. He hasn't got time to continue the story. The bus stops outside his school. David runs down the stairs, jumps off the bus, and rushes through the school gates. The playground is empty and silent. David runs to the entrance. Inside, the school is empty and silent, too. David walks quickly along the corridors. He can hear teachers talking in the classrooms. He looks through the windows and sees the students at their desks. He is the only student not in a class. Finally, David stops outside a classroom. He takes a deep breath, knocks at the door, and walks in. There's an empty desk at the front of the class. Without looking at the other students, David walks straight to it, pulls out the chair, and sits down. He takes his books out of his bag, finds his pen, then looks up at his teacher. But it isn't his teacher. Hello? It's David Clark, isn't it? That's right. Well, you're in the wrong room. This isn't your class. David looks round. The teacher's right. He is sitting in the wrong class. David finds his real class. But Mr. Johnson, his maths teacher, isn't very pleased. The rest of the morning is a bit of a disaster, too. David, what's 12 times 7? 72? Ricky? It's 84. Thank you. Jack talks to David when Mr. Johnson isn't looking. Hey, Dave. Dave the dreamer. You can't do maths. You can't do sport. You're a bit stupid. Stop talking, David. What? Oh, sorry, Mr. Johnson. I'm sorry, too. Come and see me at 3:30. At lunchtime. David looks for his sandwiches in his bag. But they aren't there. They are still sitting on the table in the kitchen at home. He only finds an open bag of crisps and an old apple. The apple is very old and the crisps are cheese and onion, not his favorite flavor. But he eats them and then goes out to the playground. Some girls are talking in small groups, some boys are playing football, and a small group of his classmates are sitting on a bench. Hey! Dave! Dave the dreamer! Jack calls out and the others laugh. Jack's friends, Liam and Tarek, start chanting, "Dave the Dreamer. Dave the Dreamer." Then a girl says loudly, "Leave him alone, Jack." And another girl says, "Why don't you grow up? You're pathetic." David, Jack and his gang all look at Zadie and Holly. Zadie is holding a football. "It's your fault David's in trouble," says Zadie. "No, it isn't," says Jack. "Yes, it is," says Holly. David feels a bit silly. He looks at Zadie and Holly, and then he thinks of the great detective. Girls never save David Delgado. "Ooh, I'm really scared," says Jack, pretending to be frightened. "Come on, let's go inside. This is getting boring." And Jack leads his gang into the school. "Do you want a game?" Zadie asks David, bouncing the ball. No, that's okay," David says. "Cool," says Zadie, and she and Holly run away, kicking the ball. After the last lesson, Mr. Johnson makes David stay behind at school. He has to write "I must not talk in class 100 times. First of all, David writes the sentences carefully on separate lines in his notebook. "I must not talk in class. I must not talk in class. I must not talk in class." But it's too boring. So he writes the words in columns. "I must not talk in. I must not talk. I must not talk. I must not talk." Then he tries writing them from right to left. "I must not talk in class. I must not talk in class. Talk in class." And then he starts thinking of a cold New York night, a white limo, Mickey Malone, the king of crime, and David Delgado. The great detective. David Delgado doesn't move. He doesn't say a word. He is watching Mickey Malone. And Mickey Malone is pointing a gun at him. "You know, it isn't easy being a gangster," says Mickey. "I have a lot of problems. There's the police. There are the judges. And there are people like Harry. But that's okay. You see, I'm clever and they stupid. But I have another problem. And that problem's you, Delgado. You always follow me. You always try to stop me. And I don't like that. In fact, I hate it. But tonight, my problem is over. Goodbye, Delgado." But David Delgado takes a stone from his pocket and throws it. He hits the street lamp, the street goes black, then Mickey fires his gun. The bullet hits a wall. David Delgado isn't there. "Where are you, Delgado?" shouts Mickey. "Come back." But David is running away down the street. "Hey, boys!" shouts Mickey again. And 3 big men in dark suits. "Get out of the white limo." "Get that man," says Mickey. "Yes, boss," the 3 big men say together. And then the 3 gangsters start running. Running after the great detective. After the 100 sentences and another conversation with Mr. Johnson, David decides to walk home. It's a sunny afternoon and he's happy to be out of school at last. He goes into a charity shop and looks at the books. He finds some detective stories he really likes, but he hasn't got enough money to buy them. Maybe tomorrow, he thinks. So he goes back outside into the sun. The sky is a brilliant blue. He walks down the road and turns a corner. And sees Jack. Jack is standing in the road, looking in the other direction. David doesn't want to talk to Jack. He doesn't want to hear Dave the Dreamer again. He is thinking of walking away. When Jack turns and sees him, David can't walk away. Jack is looking at him. His face is quite red. Is he angry? David feels nervous. Jack can be quite rough. Does he want to fight? Then David sees that Jack isn't angry with him. He isn't thinking about lunchtime or the lesson at school. Jack is upset. What's wrong? David asks. "It's my bike," says Jack. "It's missing." He points at the front of a council house. "I always leave it there." David looks at the front of the house. "No bike. Do you usually lock it?" asks David. "Of course I do," says Jack. David hates losing things and he understands how Jack feels. "Maybe I can help," he says. David looks in the front garden. He finds a metal chain under a bush. "Look at this," he says. Then he sees another metal object in the long grass. "And here's the lock." "You know what this means," says David. Jack nods. "Bicycle thieves." And then David remembers his bus journey to school that morning and the two boys, one on a bike, the other running beside him. David tells Jack about them, and then he starts thinking. I've got an idea, David says. What's that? Let's look for those boys. And find your bike. Have you got your mobile phone? Sure. Good, let us swap numbers. Okay. Where do we look? Let's start near the park. And keep in contact. David walks around one side of the park. Jack walks around the other side. There's nothing in the park. I know. Let us look behind the shops. Hi, Jack, I'm looking behind the newsagents. I can't see the boys. Where are you? They search for another half hour in roads, alleys, gardens and backyards. Then Jack calls David. I'm near the Indian restaurant. You know, the one that's closed down. There's a lot of rubbish here but no bike. This is hopeless. We can't find them like this. Hang on, Jack. I've got another idea. David walks up to the old factory. The building is dark and empty and all its windows are broken. There is a rusty wire fence around the grounds. This is a good place for a gang to hang out, David thinks. He decides to investigate. David lifts up a bit of the wire fence and goes under it. Then he stands up straight and listens. After about a minute he hears a noise. It is coming from the other side of the factory. It sounds like a boy's voice. He walks quietly towards the noise, and then he hears a boy say, "Let me ride it next." The boy is talking about a bike. David runs quickly along one side of the factory. He looks around the corner and sees a group of 4 boys. A tall boy with red hair is riding a bike. David remembers him from the morning. A small boy is looking at him. He is unhappy. Come on, it's my turn to ride the bike now, the small boy says. Shut up, Bobby. You can wait, the red-haired boy replies. The 2 other boys laugh. One of them says, you can have a ride tomorrow. It's the other boy from that morning. There are 6 bikes next to the wall. The 2 boys have got cans of paint and they are spraying the bikes blue. David calls Jack on his mobile. He whispers into his phone. Hey, Jack. I'm at the old factory. What are you doing there? Well, I'm looking at the bicycle thieves, David says. Really? Says Jack. That's brilliant. But how do you know they're the thieves? David tells Jack about the boy with the red hair. And then he says, there are other boys here. They've got 7 bikes. 7. That's terrible. Then Jack asks, how many kids are in the gang? 4. How old are they? About 13 or 14. I'm not sure. Do you know them? No, whispers David. They aren't from our school. What are they doing? Asks Jack. They're spraying the bikes a different color. I bet they're spraying my bike, too. Jack says angrily. Can you see a black bike with a green and orange seat? David looks. It isn't one of the bicycles against the wall, but it is the bike the red-haired boy is riding. Yes, Jack, it's here, says David. And it's still the same color. We have to act fast, says Jack. He starts walking towards the factory. But then he stops. He thinks for a moment and asks, what do we do now, David? We can't do this on our own. There are too many of them, says David. Can you ring Liam and the others? Of course. Says Jack. That's a great idea. Okay, now listen. You stay there. Give me 5 minutes. Then we can. But David doesn't wait for Jack to finish his sentence. Jack, I've got to go, he says, and he turns off his mobile. The boy with red hair is cycling towards him. David runs quickly towards a huge old engine. He hides behind it, then watches the red-haired boy come round the corner and cycle past. He doesn't see David. First Jack calls Liam. But it's bad news. I'm sorry, Jack. I can't come out. Why not? Asks Jack. I'm doing my homework. Then Jack calls Tarek. It's not good, Jack. I have to stay at home. But why? Asks Jack. I'm babysitting my kid brother. Finally Jack calls Kyle. It's the same story. I can't help, Jack. I'm making a pizza for my mum and dad. You're making a pizza for your mum and dad? Cooking's a girl's thing. You're in my gang. Jack says. I'm sorry, Jack. Jack turns off his phone. He can't believe it. His gang are useless. David is hiding behind the old engine when a boy shouts, "Hey!" David puts his mobile in his pocket and turns around. The red-haired boy is sitting on his bike, looking at him. Who are you? The red-haired boy asks. David doesn't answer. What are you doing here? David doesn't know what to say. He thinks of the great detective. He always gets into trouble in David's stories, but he always escapes. And he always wins. But David can't remember what the great detective does in situations like these. In fact, he hasn't got time to think at all. Hey, guys. Come here. The red-haired boy shouts. David is in big trouble. The red-haired boy points at David. Okay, boys. Get him. David doesn't have any choice. He starts running. And the three boys run after him. The boys can run very fast. David looks back, they are close behind him. Catch him. You can get away. David thinks quickly. Changes direction. You idiots. Don't let him get away. But then they all trip. Ouch. You so stupid. David remembers the hole in the fence. He has to escape. He's running towards the fence. But the boy on the bicycle gets there first. You can get away from us. David runs around the factory, looking for another way out. The boys are close behind him. You're in big trouble now. David is getting very tired. Then he sees another hole in the fence. There's another way out. David is nearly there. He can do it. He can escape. Stop him. Stop him. But he runs into Bobby. They both fall over and David hits the ground with a crash. Bobby starts crying. David wants to cry, too, because his arm really hurts. But he doesn't. He hasn't got time for crying. He's lying on the ground and thinking fast. The red-haired boy gets off the bike and walks over to David. Get up, he says. David doesn't move. He's thinking, but there's nothing he can do. Get up. David looks up. All the boys are standing over him. So David stands up slowly and looks at the red-haired boy. What do you want? The red-haired boy asks. I want that bike, says David. And why do you want my bike? The boy asks. It isn't your bike, David replies. It's Jack's. Who's Jack? The red-haired boy asks. He goes to my school. And where's Jack now? I don't know, says David. What's your name? The red-haired boy asks. David. Well, David, I hate stupid kids like you. What do we do with him? One of the boys asks. Let's finish spraying the bikes first. Then we can decide. They walk back to the bikes. Okay, stand over there, the red-haired boy says. So David stands next to the bikes. It's a bad situation. But he has got an idea. 10 minutes later, Jack is walking along a road of terraced houses towards the old factory when he gets a text message. It's from David. I'm in trouble. Help. Jack doesn't know what to do. His gang can't help. He's on his own. But David needs him. So he starts running towards the factory. Then he sees two people on bikes at the end of the road. They are wearing sports clothes and carrying tennis rackets. He can see their faces. Zadie and Holly. Jack calls out and waves at them. They can't hear him. They are cycling away. Then he shouts with all his strength. And this time the girls hear him. Holly and Zadie cycle up to him. What is it, Jack? We're on our way to the sports center, says Zadie. David's in trouble, Jack says. We have to help him. Jack quickly explains the situation. The girls are shocked. But what can we do? There are 4 boys in their gang, says Holly. I don't know, says Jack. But we have to do something. Zadie smiles. Can you play tennis, Jack? Jack looks confused. Of course I can. But what about David? Here, take my spare racket, says Zadie, and she gives him a tennis racket from her bag. Now let's go to the factory. Outside the factory, Zadie, Holly and Jack each take a tennis racket and 6 tennis balls. Then they crawl under the wire fence and into the grounds. Okay, says Zadie. Turn on your mobile phones and keep in contact. Then Holly and Zadie go round one side of the factory, and Jack goes round the other. They soon see the bicycle thieves, the stolen bikes, and David standing against the wall. The four boys are talking in a group, looking at David. David looks calmly back at them. He is nervous, but he doesn't show it. Holly and Zadie hide behind a pile of crates. Jack hides behind an old white van. Then Zadie sends Jack a message. Ready? Jack sends a reply. Ready. And the action begins. The red-haired boy says something, and the others laugh. Then he looks again at David. Okay, let's get him, he says. But the four boys don't move towards David because suddenly tennis balls are hitting them. 1, 2, 3, 4 one after another, Holly, Zadie and Jack fire tennis balls at the boys. And the tennis balls fly hard, fast, and on target. Ouch. Ow. What's happening? Help. The boys jump and duck and put their hands over their heads. But the balls don't stop hitting them. Then the tennis players scream and shout and the bicycle thieves are terrified. The gang don't understand what is happening. But the red-haired boy knows there is only one thing they can do. Run. He shouts. And 3 of the boys run towards the hole in the fence, followed by the flying balls. But the red-haired boy doesn't want to lose everything. He knocks a ball away, runs to Jack's bike, gets on it, and tries to ride to safety. Hey! He's taking my bike! Shouts Jack. Jack hits all his tennis balls at the red-haired boy, but he doesn't hit him. He is getting away, on Jack's bike. But then Jack sees a boy with fair hair running after the cyclist. It's David. The hole in the fence isn't large enough to cycle through. The red-haired boy jumps off the bike and tries to push it under the rusty wire. But he stops when he feels a hand on his arm. The red-haired boy turns and sees David standing behind him. Holly, Zadie and Jack are watching them. David and the red-haired boy are silent. David doesn't know what to say. Then suddenly he starts speaking. His voice is different from the great detective's, but his words are the same. Leave the bike there. Now get out of here. Oak. Then another sentence comes to David. And don't do it again. The red-haired boy nods, then goes through the hole, and runs away. The 3 classmates run over to David. Are you all right? Zadie asks. I'm fine. Are you sure? Asks Holly. Yeah, of course I'm sure, David laughs. Thanks for coming. David passes the bicycle to Jack. I think this is your bike, he says. David. Well, thanks, David, Jack says. He looks down at his bike, then he looks up at David. Listen, he says. I'm really sorry about this morning, you know. Dave the dreamer and all that. That's okay, Jack. I am a dreamer, David says. Hey, no, David, says Zadie. You're a real action hero. When David finally gets home, his mother is angry. After all, he's dirty and he's late. And his lunch is still on the kitchen table. But David knows that this is a very special day. And he is happy.